Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while since I put one out, but here's gonna be the next video. Got this Mitsubishi Evolution MR in here. Gonna do some custom piping for the intercooler side. Mostly just the cold side and the intake. We're changing over from mass airflow to a map sensor setup, so we're gonna get rid of all this setup here, and then taking off all this aftermarket stuff and remaking it all to fit a little bit better, and then have a new intake coming through. But this car is I think it's a stock motor, has a full race kit, dual gate, Borg-Warner turbo. Not sure the size, but pretty nice car. Good customer of mine. I did some work for him before. Pretty standard Evo. That's pretty much the car. So I'm gonna get set up my lift here, and then we're gonna start tearing it down. Alright, got everything set up, so we're gonna just go over what the piping is now and see how it can improve it. You can see it in the cooler, and then we have this pipe here, comes out of the intercooler, makes a U-turn, and then there's a coupler here, a metal pipe there, and a coupler here. So we're gonna try to eliminate this coupler, so only two couplers on each end to make it one solid piece. I might extend these wastegate dump because they don't extend very far, and it sits right on the coupler here, but we'll see how it goes when we get there. And then this pipe is not that bad, but he wants to mount, the customer wants to mount something here, so I think what I'm going to do is bring it back more towards the tranny, then go up, so it gives him a little more room to bolt the bracket, whatever bracket he has, to get on there. And then the charge pipe pretty much going to stay the same, except it's not going to have the port for the blow off valve to blow back, because it won't be a mass airflow setup, so it won't affect the way it runs. I know in this Mitsubishi, if you don't have that set up as it is now, they tend to stall and act weird when you come to an idle. But so that piece is gonna be new, and then you can kind of see the turbo. It's actually a pretty good sized turbo in there. Everything's super tight. But let me get some of this stuff disassembled, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, I got the front bumper off, just to make it a little bit easier to see what I'm working with. As you see, here's the intercooler. It has I think it's a 3-inch core, but end tanks are 2.5, so that'll match what I'm going to be putting on. It's going to be all 2.5. And then this is the driver's side. You can see it comes up through here. You can see the turbo in there. Like I said, this thing is stuffed in there. Really not much room from the radiator for anything else, but it still does have AC, power steering, and all the good accessories. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put a 90-degree elbow here. It had like a 45-ish, and then it went kind of weird, so I think I'm going to 90 it right into here, and then do a 90 aluminum section straight across into here. So this moved a little bit, so there's a little bit of give. But I think that's going to be it for this side. And then I'm going to move over to this side. And then I'm probably going to mimic the old pipe until it gets to here. Then I'll shoot it up closer to the trans, because it was coming out through here like this. Like this. So I'm going to bring it up to here, because he has this bolt that he said he needs to use. So let me get this passenger side pipe mocked up and welded, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. Alright guys, I got my pipe marked where I need to cut it. And I'm gonna cut it on my bandsaw here. Well, not bandsaw, but my chop saw. It's a metal chop saw. So cut it here and mock it up. And now I'm gonna use this section here to extend this section. I'll end up cutting this off and extending it. And it already has the bead around it, so that'll make it nice. I don't have to re-roll the bead. But let me get this cut and then we'll go from there. The other thing is, when I finish cutting my bead, what I usually do is take a tool like this. It's like a deburring tool, and then get the inside of it. And that'll clean any burr you have on the inside out. And then I run the outside edge onto the sander and to get it clean. But right now, I don't need to clean it yet because I'll clean it once before I weld it. So I'm just gonna take this piece off, go back to the car, and see where I got to cut this section. So let me get that in there and then I'll show you guys what that looks like. Alright guys, I got this piece marked here. You see that? So what I'm going to do is cut it off, and then I'll be adding it on the long piece I cut off this end to lengthen this end. Alright guys, I have a little belt sander here, and I'm going to clean up the outside edges. Just like that, the inside and outside is clean. So I think it's going to be like this, like that, and then I'm going to roll this edge with my bead roller and then be ready to weld. Here's my bead roller setup. It's a microferric. It's a K2, I think it's a version 2. I think he had another version before this. But this works really good. It even does like thicker wall stainless with no problem. But what you really do is you chuck the pipe in this end, make sure you get it in square, then you start tightening this, and then I do like a half turn up here and then spin it in a rotation, and then keep doing that until I get the bead profile that I want. And then that's it. So let me set this camera up and then I'll show you how it's done. So within 2 turns, I can get the bead profile that I want, and then so that helps the coupler from coming off when you're up in a higher amount of boost, or any amount of boost really. But a lot of people, they do piping and then they don't do that. They just leave it like this, and then that's what gives you problem with couplers and stuff. But if you have a little ledge that the clamp can bind against, then it won't pop off unless you're really making some serious boost. Then you might have to change your setup or have a higher profile bead with a better clamp. A lot of times, if you have a bead rolled already, you shouldn't have an issue unless you really got some cheap eBay clamps that doesn't hold very good It doesn't have very good clamping force, but other than that, it should be good. So let me get this tacked on and welded, and then I'll show you what it looks like once I'm done and then install it on the car. Alright guys, I got it installed on the car. As you can see, 90 coupler here, and then transition on this 90 straight into that coupler. And then I'm gonna adjust it a little bit, and then, but that side should be good. Oh well, don't look too hateful. But there it is. So let's move to the other side. Alright guys, started working on the driver's side here. You can see I cut down a 90 elbow, and then I rolled it, and this is just a straight coupler. This intercooler, Evo intercooler, has a best, it's not straight out, it has a slight bend in it already. So then the 90 just brings it into the hole there, the opening, and then try to make enough room for clearance so it doesn't rub anything. And then up top here, you can see I started mocking it. I added this section here. It's a little bit less than it's probably like a 30-degree angle to bring it straight up, and then there's plenty of room underneath everything, so it doesn't rub. And then he has room for your bleeder too. Before, the other pipe was already on top of the bleeder, so if you had to get to that, it was kind of hard. And then the reason I did it kind of low to the transmission, because of the filters. The filter is going to have to come across. It might not be this filter, but it's going to need to sit here. Try to keep it away from all the heat. And then I thought about bringing it like this too. But I have to talk to the customer and see what he thinks about it, because all the heat's gonna be on this side of the motor. But I think this little opening here, even like this, will probably get the best air. So I'm gonna get this tacked up and then welded, and then I'll start with the intake off the filter here. But as you can see, that's where I'm going with this discharge pipe. So weld it up, see where I can put the blow off valve, and then this intake tube, and then a couple little other things, a couple other things, and then it should be finished. So let me get that all tacked up and welded, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Alright guys, I got this pipe welded out, everything welded. And I also added a blow-off valve flange on this pipe here, and I also added a bung down here. It's an 1/8 inch bung for I think he has an AEM boost gauge that is electronic, so that's the pressure sensor. And then I have it underneath, so it's out of the way and you barely see it. once you have it all together. And then this flange it's a used flange from an old pipe I just cut out, as you can see it, and then clean it up and weld it on there. So doesn't look too bad for a used flange. But other than that, that pipe is finished. I'm gonna start on the intake. So what I'm gonna do is probably this is a 3-inch, so I'll do a 90 out and then come up and then a 90 over, and then have the filter sit about right here. And then he has a catch can. It's like a Gretty catch can that he wants me to weld a dash 10 bung here, and then on the intake itself is going to have a dash 10, and he's going to use the vacuum source from the intake to pull vacuum from that breather setup, just to draw, I guess, the crankcase pressure back into the turbo, so recirculate. So let me get that mocked up and welded, and I'll show you what that looks like. Alright guys, I got the intake tube made. Like I said, 2 90s, cut down, welded together, and then added a dash 10 there, and then a K&N filter. Then added a dash 10 to his breather setup here, so he can connect that down to the intake pipe. So that's pretty much it for this job. So, but here it is. I'll pan out so you guys can see. The customer is going to run all the lines, the vacuum lines, everything, because nothing's ran right now. I mean, I guess it was ran at one time, but he tore it all apart. But to redo this job, so I just got to button up a couple clamps here and there. But other than that, this job's finished. So hope you guys like what you see, and I'll see you guys on the next.